Dear Leo, radiant soul of fire and courage. Have you felt it? That subtle tremor in your chest, the whisper in your dreams, the sudden rush of emotion that doesn't quite make sense? If something inside you has been stirring, if you've been sensing that something intense is approaching, you're absolutely right. This isn't just any other day. It's a cosmic turning point. And this video is not here by accident. Today, on June 29th, a powerful celestial alignment is shaking the energy field for those born under the Leo sign. The moon is in opposition with Pluto, unlocking deep emotional truths and forcing hidden patterns into the light. For Leo, this energy hits the core, challenging your identity, your role, your truth. What's coming may feel terrible at first, but it's only because something profound is ready to break open. And beyond it? The greatest gift your soul has been calling in for years. If you're here now, Leo, I want you to know this isn't random. The universe brought you to this exact moment because you're ready. Not just to hear this message, but to embody it. You see, your journey has never been about being comfortable. It's been about becoming undeniable. There is a divine fire inside of you, and right now, the heavens are conspiring to awaken it fully. No more hiding. No more shrinking. What's breaking down is only making space for who you truly are. And I want to take a moment to sincerely thank you. Thank you for being here with me today. For every like you share, every comment you leave, every time you hit subscribe and support Eternal Mindfulness, you're not just watching a video. You're becoming part of a conscious community, rooted in light, growth, and alignment. Your presence here allows us to keep delivering messages that heal, awaken, and uplift. Truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. But listen closely, Leo, what's ahead is not something you want to miss. I promise you what the universe is about to reveal is extraordinary. This energy wave isn't meant to destroy you, it's meant to remind you of your own power. Of the light you've always carried, even in your darkest moments. You're not just being tested, you're being prepared. So take a breath with me. Touch your heart. Feel into the reason why you found this video today. Now tell me, Leo, what in your spirit brought you here right now? What's pulling you toward this message, this moment, this mirror? Let me know in the comments. Right, I'm a Leo ready to walk through the fire and rise, if your soul feels like it's time. We have so much more to explore. And trust me, you'll want to stay with me until the very last minute. This message isn't just a forecast. It's a mirror, a calling, a gateway. And you, Leo, are standing right at the threshold. Let's begin. When the fire begins to rise, Leo, it rarely asks for permission, it simply responds to the truth buried within. And right now, as the sun, your ruling force, joins Mercury in the sign of Cancer, something hidden is softly demanding to be seen. This alignment doesn't just stir the waters of your emotional world. It breaks the surface tension that's kept certain truths submerged for far too long. It's not loud. It's not chaotic. But it's real, and if you're listening, you already feel it. This isn't the kind of truth that arrives with fanfare. It's the quiet kind. The kind that appears when the mask slips. When you glance at your reflection and realize you've outgrown the version of yourself you've been performing. That job you're holding on to, that relationship you keep justifying, that habit you can't explain, it's not just discomfort. It's a soul-level alarm. something in your inner world is declaring, this is no longer aligned. Think of fire not as a destroyer, but as a revealer. In the natural world, fire clears the forest floor so new life can grow. In the same way, what feels like loss now may actually be the beginning of reclamation. The tower shows up not to punish you, but to release you. The structures falling away were never meant to last forever. And deep down, you knew that. But knowing it and living it are two different things, and now, the moment of living it has arrived. The Sun card comes in right behind the chaos, and that's not accidental. Light doesn't chase away the dark, it honors it by rising through it. After the tower collapses, the Sun reminds you that your joy, your radiance, your essence was never about what you built on the outside. It's always been about who you are when everything else is stripped away. The Sun doesn't need to compete. It simply shines, because that's its nature. And you, Leo, share that nature. This is your returning. Not to an old self but to your original light. Then we meet the Wheel of Fortune. Cycles. Timing. Movement. It asks you to remember that nothing stays still, not the seasons, not the pain, not the joy. And if you try to cling to something that's already meant to be released, you'll only prolong your own becoming. The wheel is not cruel. It simply turns. And today, it's turning for you, not away from you. But you must participate in that turning. You must take your place on the path, not as someone being pulled, but as someone choosing. This is where you reclaim your fire, not as reaction, but as intention. The kind of fire that says, I will no longer abandon myself to make others comfortable. The kind of fire that doesn't burn bridges in anger, but walks away in peace. This is the sacred burn, cleansing, clearing, clarifying. And it's yours if you're willing to stand in it. Sometimes we mistake stillness for safety. But there is nothing safe about staying in a place where your soul is shrinking. Let this be the day you choose the fire, not for destruction, but for transformation. Because you, Leo, were never meant to live a half-life. And deep within, you know it. If any of this speaks to what you've been holding inside, I invite you to affirm it aloud, or write it below in the comments. I'm a Leo, I let go to be who I truly am. There's power in naming the truth. And even more power in living it. Sometimes, the body whispers what the soul already knows. And during these 48 hours surrounding June 29th, Leo, you may notice your body becoming the messenger of what your spirit has been trying to express all along. That tension in your neck, the soreness in your shoulders, the tightness in your throat, it's not random. It's a language. A signal. The subtle discomfort you feel in your physical form often mirrors the inner resistance to a truth waiting to rise. When expression is stifled, whether by fear, doubt, or trying to keep the peace, energy collects like smoke beneath a sealed roof, waiting for a crack of light to release it. You may also find your dreams becoming louder, more vivid, almost cinematic. Perhaps you're dreaming of fire, of wide open skies, of someone you haven't seen in years. Maybe it's a place that feels eerily familiar, though you can't quite place it. Don't dismiss these images. Dreams don't speak in logic, they speak in essence. They are the intuitive mind's way of cleansing, integrating, and offering you glimpses of what the waking self resists. And when the same themes keep returning, flames, flight, past facets often because your inner being is trying to show you what needs your attention. The numbers, too, come like messengers cloaked in the everyday. You glance at the clock, 1:11. You notice a receipt total, 818. You hear the elevator ding at floor 9, then 2, then 9 again. These patterns aren't coincidence. They're alignment. Each one a quiet confirmation from the unseen. You're in rhythm with something larger, something guiding. 111 is the breath before the first note, the divine inhale of a brand new beginning. 818 often shows up when financial shifts or completions are near, especially those tied to self-worth and confidence. And 929 reminds you that what is ending is not failure, but transformation. It's the falling away of form to reveal something more real beneath it. In moments like these, stillness becomes medicine. Not the kind of stillness that avoids, but the kind that listens. Gentle meditation before sleep, with soft tones like 528 Hz, helps to recalibrate your frequency to one of openness and healing. Writing your dreams down, even if they make little sense at first, teaches your subconscious that you're listening. And sometimes, the act of whispering your truth aloud just to yourself is the most powerful spell of liberation. There's something quietly profound about warming a cup of honey turmeric tea and sipping it with intention. It's not just about soothing the throat, it's about honoring your voice. You're telling your body, I hear you. I will no longer silence what aches to be known. And that simple act? That's where self-healing begins, not with grand declarations, but with gentle rituals that say, I'm home now. I'm safe to feel. Like the flower that opens not in rush, but in rhythm with the sun, you too are unfolding moment by moment, breath by breath. And this discomfort you may be feeling? It's not punishment. It's the growing edge of your becoming. As one teaching reminds us, nothing arises without conditions, and nothing passes away without having served its purpose. Even pain is a messenger of awakening, inviting you not to run, but to meet it with grace. So notice the signs not with fear, but with reverence. Your body is speaking. Your dreams are alive. The universe is leaving breadcrumbs on your path, and each step toward awareness is already a step toward healing. Change, when it comes, doesn't always knock politely. Sometimes, it crashes through like a wave against a cliff, loud, undeniable, and deeply stirring. Around this time, dear Leo, you may find yourself standing at such a cliff's edge, staring at what appears to be a sudden ending, a rupture, or an unraveling of something you thought would hold. Perhaps a conversation doesn't go as planned. Perhaps someone walks away. Perhaps a truth, long buried, finally makes itself impossible to ignore. In moments like these, it's easy to label the experience as a loss, to feel as though something precious is slipping through your fingers. But look closer. What if this disruption isn't here to take something from you but to return you to yourself? Sometimes, the structures we cling to are already hollow. The relationship that's grown cold. The role we've outgrown but keep performing. The silence we maintain to avoid confrontation. These are the walls we build around our deeper longing. But no wall, no matter how carefully constructed, can contain a soul that's ready to grow. When the cracks begin to show, it's not the end, it's the beginning of truth making its way to the surface. And that truth is simple, though not always easy: you have changed. Your needs, your values, your frequency theories shifting. And as they shift, so too must your surroundings. The end of a relationship doesn't mean failure, it means completion. The loss of a job isn't always rejection, it can be redirection. The discomfort you're feeling now is the sign that a deeper part of you is waking up and demanding alignment. It's as if life is gently but firmly asking, are you ready to stop pretending? There's an old insight that reminds us suffering often arises not from pain itself, but from our resistance to it. When we fight what is, when we grasp tightly to what no longer fits, we create more friction than the release itself ever would. But when we meet endings with acceptance, with breath, with presence, we'll open space for something else to come in. Something unexpected. Something more real. And often, that something arrives right after the breaking. The new offer that suddenly appears. The stranger who feels like home. The burst of insight that makes everything click. But none of that can come if we're still gripping what was. We must loosen our hands, not because we don't care, but because we care enough to let what no longer serves dissolve with grace. That's not weakness. That's devotion to truth. In the quiet wisdom of natural cycles, we see this principle over and over. Leaves fall not as a sign of death, but as a preparation for renewal. The snake sheds its skin not because the old one was bad, but because it no longer fits. And so it is with you. You are not being punished. You are being shaped. The event you didn't expect, the sharp word, the sudden silence, the honest mirror, it's here as a threshold. One you are strong enough to cross. So if your heart feels heavy right now, let it be. Sit with it. Listen to it. Then ask gently, what is trying to leave, and what might be waiting to arrive in its place? You do not need to have all the answers. You only need the courage to tell yourself the truth, even if it breaks something open. Because beyond that breaking, Leo, is the most authentic version of your life waiting patiently for you to say yes. In the aftermath of intensity, after the truth has cracked through the surface and the heart has faced what it can no longer carry, there's an unusual stillness. Not the stillness of emptiness but of space being made. And this, Leo, is the most sacred moment of all. Because what you do next, even if it seems small, begins to shape the new landscape of your life. The universe rarely responds to force, but it always listens to intention. That's why today is not about dramatic transformation, it's about choosing, again and again, the kind of energy you wish to live in. And it starts with simple, grounded acts of awareness. When you nourish your body with clean, plant-based food and drink plenty of water, you're not just supporting your physical health. You're signaling to life itself that you are preparing your vessel to receive something new. Avoiding stimulants and artificial energy allows your system to settle enough to hear the subtle shifts happening inside you. It's the difference between hearing static and receiving a clear signal. That signal may come as a moment of clarity in the shower, a gut feeling while walking, or a wave of release during silence. What you wear today also becomes part of that alignment. Colors are frequencies. When you wrap yourself in emerald green, you're inviting balance, grounding, and heart-centered growth. When you wear gold, you're attuning to confidence, inner royalty, and purpose. These are not just fashion choices, theory, energetic tools. The same goes for crystals. Carrying citron or carnelian isn't superstition, it's resonance. Citron supports abundance and clarity, while carnelian stirs your core fire and calms reactionary impulses. These stones remind you to anchor your power rather than erupt with it. There's also power in the act of release. Writing down what you are ready to let go of, 3 things that feel heavy, outdated, or no longer aligned, and then burning that list, or sending it downstream if you have access to flowing water, can shift more than emotion. It clears psychic space. It sends a message inward and outward that you are willing to cooperate with life, to let it flow through you rather than try to control it. Fire and water are not enemies, they are companions in purification. When you use them consciously, they become partners in your healing. And yes, the smallest acts today can ripple farther than you imagine. A single honest sentence spoken aloud, a truth you've withheld from even yourself, can begin to reroute your future. A boundary gently but firmly drawn. A moment of forgiveness, even if only whispered inside. A pause before reacting. These choices may seem ordinary, but they are holy in the way that all real things are. Just like planting a seed does not yield fruit overnight, these gestures don't promise immediate reward. But they change the soil. They adjust your alignment. And life grows best where it is invited, not where it is chased. There's a simple truth echoed in many paths of wisdom: when the mind is still and the heart is clear, even a single breath becomes a prayer. So today, let your actions your tea, your walk, your words, your colors prayers of becoming. Not for the sake of achievement, but for the sake of alignment. This is not about fixing yourself. It's about making space for the version of you that's been waiting patiently, just behind the noise. Let today be a soft revolution. Not in the world outside, but in the quiet choices you make within. Because when those choices align with who you really are, the universe has no choice but to meet you halfway. And what was once hoped for begins to take root as something real. Change doesn't always arrive like thunder. Sometimes, it comes in stillness, like a soft knock at the door of your awareness. And in that moment, Leo, what matters most is not the size of the opportunity, but how you choose to respond. The path ahead isn't something you must figure out all at once. It's something you already hold the blueprint for inside. The Magician card reminds you of this. It speaks of potential not as something you need to chase, but something waiting to be claimed. Everything you need: the voice, the fire, the intuition, the memory of who you are, is already within reach. Your tools are laid out in front of you. The real question is, will you pick them up? The Chariot enters next, not as a vehicle of escape, but as a symbol of movement rooted in self-command. This isn't about rushing forward blindly. It's about honoring your direction and becoming the one who guides the reins. When external forces try to push or pull, your task is to stay centered in what feels true. No one else can drive this journey for you, not the past, not other people's expectations, not even your fears. Power, in its most aligned form, isn't loud. It's calm. It's clear. And now, more than ever, you are being asked to reclaim that clarity and direct your own becoming. Then comes the stare, a gentle, luminous reminder that no matter how lost you may feel, you are never without light. It's often just beyond the darkness where the most profound breakthroughs occur. And even in the midst of uncertainty, healing is already happening. Sometimes, we confuse visibility with guidance. But the stars don't speak loudly. They simply shine. The star invites you to do the same. To trust that even the smallest flicker of hope, when tended to with care, can lead you through what once felt endless. Miracles, after all, don't arrive because we deserve them. They arrive because we become willing to receive them. And then, the Empress. She doesn't push or strive. She allows. She creates from fullness, not from lack. She listens to her rhythms, nurtures what she loves, and trusts the timing of everything. There is a deep kind of knowing in her presence, one that says, I don't need to force my life to bloom. I simply need to nourish what is real. You are being called into this same kind of inner maturity or return to your creative source, not just as someone who performs, but as someone who births life into everything they touch. The Empress is not only about creation. She is about presence. When you choose to fully inhabit yourself, you create the space for life to rise in its most authentic form. In practical ways, this is your moment to pause and ask, what am I ready to release so I can welcome something new? Let it be simple. Write it down. Speak it softly in your room or into the wind. Music, too, can become a vessel of intention. Create a playlist that awakens your fire and reminds you of your wholeness. Let each song be a reminder of what you're reclaiming. And finally, look into your own eyes in the mirror, not to search for flaws, but to remember who you are beneath everything you've had to carry. Speak to yourself not with pressure, but with reverence. I choose the light. Because you do. And that choice, made in quiet conviction, is more powerful than any circumstance. There's a saying, the seed doesn't struggle to become a tree. It simply grows when the time is right. You are not behind. You are not late. You are on the edge of your own awakening. And the universe? It's not asking for perfection. It's only asking for presence. If you've made it to this point, Leo, take a deep breath with me. Not just to ground yourself, but to honor the truth that you didn't arrive here by accident. Something in you was ready to remember, ready to release, ready to rise. This day, June 29th, is not a punishment. It's an invitation. An invitation to see the chaos not as a curse, but as a clearing. The discomfort, the unraveling, the things that seem to fall apart this week, they aren't signs that life is against you. They're signs that the old version of your life no longer fits who you're becoming. And isn't that, in itself, a blessing? You are not here to suffer through your fire. You are here to become the fire. And what does fire do? It transforms. It illuminates. It makes visible what has long been hidden in the dark. Today isn't about fixing yourself or proving anything to anyone. It's about stepping into that quiet but unstoppable light within you and letting it guide the way forward. You've been walking through shadows, yes, but they were never stronger than the brilliance you carry inside. The questions now become gentle but powerful. What is one thing you can let go of today to breathe more freely? What's one truth you've been afraid to speak but know it's time to honor? And if you stopped resisting the change, what might you become? No one else can answer these for you. But I promise, when you begin to live into the answers, not perfectly, but intentionally, life begins to meet you in ways you never imagined. You will see signs. You will feel energy move. You will notice clarity returning where confusion once lingered. Not because you forced it, but because you finally said yes. If anything in this video stirred something inside you, I want you to claim it. Anchor it. Speak it out loud, or even better, comment below, "I'm a Leo, and I choose light over fear." Because sometimes, writing the words is the first act of becoming the truth you already know. And when you do know this, you are not alone. Every soul that joins this space, every like, every comment, every moment of connection builds a field of energy that supports us all. So if this message resonated with you, let it ripple. Like this video so others can feel it too. Subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness, not just to stay connected, but to be continually reminded that you are part of something greater, a growing circle of awakening hearts who walk this path together. And I promise, as long as you show up with sincerity, this space will meet you with warmth, with truth, and with light. You are fire, Leo, but not the kind that burns to survive. You are the kind that glows to guide. Let yourself be that light. The world needs it now more than ever. And maybe, just maybe, it begins today with you.